the Pacific Northwest. It's a place of overwhelming natural beauty and an abundance of resources. Here, the vast Pacific lays its bounty at our doorstep, and for centuries, the people of this area have used it for good. Today, a group of dedicated sportsmen are using their passion to help feed the hungry through 2 annual fishing tournaments of the Oregon Tuna Classic. With one tournament in Elwha, Washington, and the other in Garibaldi, Oregon, Portland businessman Del Stevens is in charge of making it all happen.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. So you're down at the tent?
Yep, down at the tent. Looks like they're getting this thing set up. They got the top on. They're getting the sides ready. Jeremy just rolled in with the cargo trailer. So we're going to, get the show on the road, get the banners out and laid on the tables that are set up, and go from there.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we need to check the credit card machines, make sure they're working good, make sure they have a good signal. And then I need to go update the agenda for what we're going to do as far as having that meeting tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll see you over at the tent here pretty soon. The Oregon Tuna Classic came to be 10 years ago when Bud Hosner was catching more tuna than he could keep or do anything with. He had the idea that he should give that tuna to people who could really use it. The first year they had the Oregon Tuna Classic, Bud and a few other people put about 20 teams together, went out and had a short one-day tournament and caught and donated about 2,000 pounds of tuna. After the first year donating canned tuna to the Oregon Food Bank, we learned a lot more about the needs of the people in the state of Oregon, where 1 in 5 families will receive a food basket during the course of the year, and in fact 10% of the people in Tillamook County will receive a food basket of some kind during the year. When you hear those kind of numbers, it motivates you even more to try to pass that forward to other people. Sport fishermen really get passionate about fishing for tuna, and that passion motivates them, and then when they wind up with extra tuna and they get involved with this organization, they kind of go hand in hand. And after the first couple of years, people bought into the charity aspect of it, and they saw the good that it did. And now a lot of the teams that win or place on the podium donate most of their prize money back. It's very endearing to see that passion shared on the podium when they hand that check back and say, no, I want to give this to the people that need it. You have people that'll start pulling fish off down there at about 2:30, 3 o'clock. We're gonna need to move some of these tables around. That row of tables probably just need to pull up. Put a deep canyon challenge by the way in and put a garment on the other side of the way in.
The 2014 tournament series actually got underway 3 weeks earlier. Stevens and his group of volunteers kicked things off on the Columbia River's North Shore in Elwha, Washington, at the Garmin Deep Canyon Challenge.
Well, what seems like chaos in here right now is you've got the girls over here getting all the t-shirts out, sweatshirts out for all the teams when they come through. Behind me over here, our audio-visual guys are setting the lighting up, and they'll be setting the TVs up, and then they'll also have the sound system they'll set up. Coordinating these events is a monumental effort. We make it look easy sometimes when participants are sitting in the crowd. None of this would happen without volunteers and the commitments they make to their time and the sacrifices they make to their families. And it's just great to see the involvement of all those people.
For the last several years, the Oregon Tuna Classic has played a major role in promoting recreational fishing for albacore tuna along this stretch of Pacific coast. But this area's tuna heritage goes back much further. Just across the Columbia River from Elwha lies the town of Astoria, Oregon, a place where commercial tuna fishing history was made, and albacore became an American staple almost 100 years ago.
From 1875 until about 1920, the Columbia River Packers Association controlled the world of fish, built canneries from as far down as Mexico all the way up to Alaska, this being the first cannery built for the CRPA. Then about 1920, the salmon trawlers went out in the mouth of the Columbia River to the ocean, and they caught a species of fish that they had never caught before. thousands of them, and they brought them to this cannery and processed it just like salmon, labeled that can Bumblebee, and the history of tuna started right here at that time. Astoria really was tuna town, and then the girls were called tuna queens. And you would come through Astoria and you would smell the tuna, and people would complain and they'd say, that's the smell of money. But this cannery continued to process fish all the way from 1875 till 2002. Having 139 years of history, more fish went through these doors than I can imagine.
It's only been in the last few years that the Oregon Tuna Classic tournament series has really brought a lot of attention to the recreational sport fishing segment of albacore. And we're proud of the fact that we've brought a lot of attention to a sport fishing heritage and a new sport for the Northwest that's been out there all along, just hasn't been tapped much. The first thing that'll happen this year is the Big Fish Friday, which is an optional day for those that want to go out and pre-fish, scout out their favorite fishing hole, and try to determine where they're going to go on tournament day.
It's a competition just like everything else. You take your two biggest fish and they weigh them both, and the biggest of the two is your poundage, and the winner has the biggest albacore tuna.
Among those fishing Big Fish Friday this year are Tom Nesbitt and his team aboard the Miss Kelly. The goal today is to find the fish and hopefully bring some back to the dock for the Oregon Food Bank.
Getting bait right now. You can chum them in with some live anchovies. You get the tuna up to the surface, really improve your odds. They're trying to round them up, so we get scoops of bait, about 5 pounds of live anchovies per scoop. Throw them on a little number 2 hook. And it's the fastest growing cycle of any fish. You start with a little anchovy, about 20 seconds later it turns into a 20-pound tuna. We got about a 90-minute run out, maybe 2 hours. Might be a little sporty out there this morning. There's gonna be a little wind, but we'll get a kick back on this nice big platform and get out to the fishing.
It's early morning at the Deep Canyon Challenge in El Waco, Washington. Fishing is already underway on Big Fish Friday.
Come on, Dad. He's got one over here on the rail. One on. Pretty nice. All right. Just let him circle. Bring him around this way.
The crew of the Miss Kelly wastes no time finding the albacore tuna.
Back control. Good. Clear it. Bait! Wind in your face when you're bait fishing. Other side of the boat, guys. Hey, you wanna come fight this one? Holy this guy is hooked. We got 2 fish on the boat. We've tried to convert over to live bait, but with the weather like it is, we're drifting so fast, it might be tough today. But we found the fish. Hey, yeah, under. Go. All right.
Get in the center of that cluster there. Figure out where those lines are. Clear. Clear on this one. That goes over. Good.
You got it? Yeah, up on yours. There's 2 over on this side now. Every time it's close, it's too far away.
Good.
Got it? All right, good. Hey, hey!
No more lines in the water. Good.
bloodiest sport I've ever been a part of.
The weather was a little tough this morning. We had a pretty stiff wind coming up, pretty good swell, so we started on the troll, did really well on the troll, and got a couple bait stops, and then got some fish to come up on the iron. Ended up with 31 fish. Not a bad day for the conditions and the way we were operating out there.
All the fish go to the Oregon Food Bank, so it's a great cause. There's tons of albacore out there, and they're fun to catch. And more fish we can give to the people who are in need. I think it's a great cause.
Oregon Food Bank has a fantastic relationship with the Oregon Tuna Classic, and we have to say that was all their idea. It came from folks who were connected to and deeply committed to the fishing industry and wanted to find a way to connect into the hungry folks. We've got one main warehouse right here, and then 21 food banks that are collecting from the statewide warehouse and also from their own local facilities. And then they redistribute that out to food pantries and soup kitchens that are serving people who need it.
The Oregon Tuna Classic, 9 years later, between all the cash and all the tuna that's been donated, they have raised and given and donated over 1 million pounds of food to the hungry in Oregon and Southwest Washington. This is the 10th anniversary. We're hoping to jumpstart that and work on the next 1 million pounds of food.
The item most desperately wanted by people experiencing hunger is high-quality protein. Tuna is a kid-friendly, shelf-stable food, and because it is caught here in Oregon and rushed immediately to the processors, it is beautiful, and I think any one of us would be glad to have it. And the Oregon Tuna Classic is a critical part of that.
It works. We'll win a Pandora bracelet.
Games under the 10 are not all that's working. Over 1,000 pounds of tuna have already been caught for the Oregon Food Bank, with the main tournament day still ahead. At the Friday night captain's meeting, teams get the lowdown on what to expect in the morning.
My name's Del Stevens. I'm the chairman of the Oregon Tuna Classic. I want to welcome you to the 10th anniversary of the Oregon Tuna Classic. Okay, start time. 6:05. Roll call's going to start at 5:30. Repeat a couple of times. When we get roll call done, I'll do a 10-second countdown, and I'll tell that Coast Guard 47 to shoot the flare. Okay? And about that time, you guys are going to pin the throttles back. The boat's going to leap out of the water about 2 or 3 times before you pull the throttles back. When reality kicks in and the testosterone, you rein it in. I'm going to be watching that. Tomorrow, 5 o'clock's the cutoff to get past that demarcation line at the boat ramp out here. The weigh-in's going to be at the top of the ramp tomorrow. If you want to donate more fish, we'd love to have it. But we're going to weigh 5 fish, and then we're going to crown our champion a little later on.
Team 14. Team 14 here, good to go. Team 15.
Coast Guard, you ready to go?
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Flare up.
We just shot the flare. 10-second countdown. Flares in the air over here. Boats are running off. Everybody's headed west on a pretty nice ocean. Hopefully it'll stay this way.
Start out, we're going to head directly west, and then we're going to head south along the chlorophyll line that we checked last night. We're going to start trolling with a 5 to 9 rig spread. We're going to locate the fish, and then we'll switch over to live bait and try to bring the school up and try to hook up, try to get multiples going. That's the plan.
Yeah, I can see this one.
All right, we're fishing, Cap.
Our destination was about 3 miles from here, but we had a really good temperature break, and we're going to put the lines in right here. We're actually on some structure where it's an inside corner of a canyon. And with a good temperature break of almost 1 degree, it's a really good spot to try. we're trolling along here, got our gear out. All we need now is a fish, and then another fish, and a few more, and we'll be good.
This year, tournament chairman Del Stevens and his team, Bad to the Bone, are fishing aboard Stephen Seal's Booyah.
Ready on starboard side.
Further to the south, Oregon Tuna Classic founder Bud Hosner and team are beginning their fishing day on Sean Cooney's boat, Badfish.